A sales cycle has various stages in sales, from identification, prospecting, closing, opening, and I'm sure the Juno School is taking care of that. There is pre-sales. Before the sales, you are preparing the bids documents, the technical documents, a lot of work done, and then the sales offers happen. And then there is, once the sale is made, there is sales operations, which is post-sales work, and followed by support, depending on the industry. If it's an IT, then you will get into the AMCs. If it's an FMCG, there is no support. So I keep telling others that when you are joining an organization, or if you're working in your own business, there are three aspects of business which we need to know really well. And out of these three, you got to be best in one of them. Best means when people come and refer to you, when people come and ask you, when you are considered an encyclopedia. So either you understand the products very well. If you're a technical person, you have a flair to understand the technicality, product, how the product is going to materialize over the next few years, go for it. If you are a process-oriented person, which basically means what are the processes required for sales bidding, what are the processes required for sales order logging and supporting customer. There are people who are extremely good at it. They understand what are the next steps. And third, of course, is if you are a people-oriented person like me, then these are the three areas you need to focus, and you got to become best in one of those. Understand your products very well and understand what its USP is. Now, if you're an FMCG, the understanding is different. If you're an ITS, the understanding is different. How are your products better than the competition product? It's possible that the competition is 20 times better than you, but there will be something you will have which they will be not having, which is what your called USP. USP is basically a differentiation by which you produce and project your brand in the market. What's the USP of Apple? Steve Jobs was very focused on the quality. Now, he gave an example in his book saying that if you have a cupboard in your house, the front of the cupboard is polished very well and it's got knobs. The side of the cupboard is polished very well. But if you open it up and if you see at the back, you will find one small piece of plywood. And he felt that end to end, the product quality has to be fantastic. And that's been Apple's USP right from the beginning. Obviously, premium products, operating systems is part of the quality, but that's where they really score over their competition. What is the USP of Tata? As a brand, I'm not talking about a product here. What's the USP of Tata? So Tata is known for trust. So when you look at a Tata product, when you look at product from Tata, that's right, a brand, you at least it's in your mind that this product will not be fake. The product quality will be minimum at par. And this is a company which is an Indian company. So if I promote an Indian company. Similarly, you guys will also look at various products, whether you look at Nike, whether you look at Coke, whether you look at Zomato, whether you look at Swiggy, everybody is trying to set up the USP and differentiation. After having understood yours, you need to understand what's the competition product like. Without knowing that, you will not be able to differentiate. So it's important to understand the competition product, understand the product positioning. Which market are you catering to? Who are your customers and what are your prices? And how technically competent you are depending on the product. You are also product. So what's your USP? Now, you at least know what you are good at. It may not be your USP yet, but you know what you are good at. And what you need to do is to build, influence people, storytelling, fantastic. What you need to do is to build further on that. What our processes teach you to think in a flow, covering all aspects of that specific action or a job. It ensures that you are going in a systematic manner to complete it and you don't miss out anything. So if you are working with a large multinational, you are surrounded by processes. I was with Oracle, and Oracle, the processes kill you. They literally kill you. There are so many of them. But then the advantage of processes is that you will always be on the right path. So when I used to train people in Oracle, I used to say Oracle is like a Ferrari. If you read the manual first and understand the controls properly, you will never have a problem. But if you start reading the manual after starting the Ferrari, you'll never win the race. So it's important that we understand the processes, use them effectively, And I think the processes needs to always be proactive. You can't adopt the process halfway through. They need to be always be proactive. The knowledge of these processes in an organization is not equally distributed. There are few people who are exceptionally good at it. There are few people who find it a waste of time, and that's the struggle. So if you are good at it in the processes in your company, you will be looked up to, you will be people will be referring to. Those who run your own businesses, it's important that they set up the basic processes so that they don't have to also think and discover every time. Now, these are some of the things which I have been observing, doing over the past. The most basic thing is the basic courtesies and respect for others. There used to be a saying called treat others the way you want to be treated. I was very impressed when my boss 10 years back asked me and said that he liked to treat others the way he wants to be treated. And now it has actually changed. It's become treat others the way they want to be treated. So it's not that I should treat you nicely because I want to be treated, but I should treat you nicely because you want to be treated. Now, how do we treat others? Let's demarcate. People in your bosses, you have no choice. You always say good morning, good afternoon, how are you, good weather, nice clothes, blah, blah, blah. But do you say the same thing to the waiters, to the drivers, to the security guards, to the other colleagues? When you walk into your office, have you ever noticed the guard, whether he's got a good mustache? Do you ever smile at him? Do you ever wish him? Now, those are the basic respects which make a lot of difference. I'll give you an example. In Bombay, and I don't mind sharing the name of the company, I was making cold call to Procter & Gamble in Nariman Point, and I went to the receptionist and I said, it was a cold call, and I said, I would like to meet this person. You know what she told me? She said, there are 33 people like you who come to me in a day. Why should I let you go in? And I told her, I'll come back to you, and went, returned and came out of the office. And that statement hit me so hard. How is she going to differentiate me over those 33 people? On what basis does she decide that this person goes in and this person does not? So I did something next time and went and I got into my entry. What I did, I will come back to you later and tell you. So I think those are the basic things you have to look at. Networking and relationship. Most important aspect of our life is this. You guys will change companies, you will change product. What you will always remember is your people, your bosses, your colleagues. And as you grow within your own environment, they will also start growing. And in a period of next 5, 7, 10, 20 years, you will find that most of your friends are at senior level. And if you have the right relationship and the networking with them, it helps. So your loyalty always remains with people and not with the company. Your loyalty is with the company as long as you are there, but the moment you move on to some other brand or competition, something else, your loyalty changes. But to people, loyalty remains. And I think this is the most important part of your life which you need to build on. Smile and greet. I did mention this. How many times do we try and remember the names? You go to a restaurant, the waiter comes and takes the order. There are people who don't even look at the waiter. They're always looking at the menu and ordering from there. Can you not look at the waiter and read his name and wish him? And you see the service you get. You may not have to give the tip also because you have touched him. You have touched his emotional cord. That's why people remember you. Yes, he remembered my name. Yes, he wished me. He greeted me. Body language. Now, some of you who are manager are going to be managers. When you talk to people, your body language should be in sync with what you speak. Very often, I was the CEO of a company, and once I was not really up to my best motivated self, and I had to do the open house, and my body language just did not meet with the motivating words which I was talking to my team. And my team knew that something is wrong here because there is no sync. People are not foolish. They see you, they read you. There is an image formed of yours in their mind. So when you speak something, the focus, the tone, the signals, the way you stand, the way you look towards people, everything is conveyed at the same time, including your words. I mean, there have been studies which you can get onto in detailing that almost 80% of your conveying happens through body language and not through words. So this part is an extremely part. Wishing people on occasions. If you look at my mobile today, you will find I have more than 500 numbers of my customers, friends, and relatives whose birthdays and wedding anniversaries are customers that I used to deal 20 years back. They probably don't even work now, but they still get a message from me when the occasion comes. Fantastic way to keep in touch, fantastic way to reactivate conversation. Somebody you met 10 years back, and if you've been wishing him every year, just a message, he remembers you, he'll give you extra space to accommodate. Meeting them instead of mails. This is a very typical behavior I've found in the offices. People like to sit on their tables and send mails only. And I always say that mails don't have legs. You have legs. Get up and go and talk to them. Now we do a lot of mailing. In my earlier days when I used to work, people used to say, sir, the file has not come to me. So I always say the file doesn't have legs. You have legs. Go to the file. You can always walk up to a person, chat up with him, make an eye contact, talk to him and say what you need to get done. Now, these basic things help you to move forward in a very positive way. People look at you in a very positive. This part now, judging people. When you see a person who's, let's talk about a guy. I'm not a racist, but I'm just talking about a guy who walks into a room, dressed, groomed, walks confidently. What goes in your mind when you see him? Oh, the guy is rich. Oh, the guy is well educated. Oh, the guy probably will know good English. All this is judging. The guy speaks in a language which you probably can't understand, and everything goes kaput. Judging actually creates clouds your thinking about others. And all this I have learned very hard way. I also used to judge. You look at a person and say, okay, 30 seconds, or this guy will not fit into my profile. But the moment he starts talking, the moment intelligence comes out of it, amazing amount of. Those who are from Bombay, you will know a person sitting in a dhoti in a bus next to you could be a millionaire, you will never know. So I think make a pledge today. Do not judge in your mind anybody in the first 30, 35 minutes, 1 hour, or the first meeting. Do not make any judgment. Let the person come to you as the person is. Because judging creates problem for you, not for the person. So I think this is an important part of it. And please make sure, be aware about the fact that when you're meeting somebody, say to yourself, I'm not going to judge him right now. I'm just going to listen to him or her as and when he or she comes across. Don't judge him by the watch he's wearing or the car he gets down from or the shoes he's wearing or the bike he's come from. No, all those are just fake stuff, according to me. Accept failures. Now, this is a very powerful line, and I believe in this. We believe our failures are due to external factors, yet we are personally responsible for our success. So every time a failure happens, somebody else is there to blame. Every time there's a success, yes, I was part of it, or it was all because of me. Why can't we give the same criteria to failures also? Why can't we accept our failures also? Why can't we say, okay, I did not know this, I'll come back to you. Or yes, it was my mistake, but I will not repeat it. Normally in a corporate world, first mistake is not really taken very seriously as long as you don't repeat it. Only if it's a repetitive action, there are problems. But a lot of us have thousands of justification to say why the failure was not because of them. And the moment you give justification, again, people are not foolish. They read you, they understand, they may keep quiet, but their mind will say something else. So get on to accepting failures. Perception is reality, absolutely. What you are is what people think you are, not what you think you are. I have seen people saying, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, and somebody else standing next to him says, oh, this guy is not capable of doing anything. Now, who do you believe? So see how people look at you. I'll tell you, my daughter, my younger daughter, super intelligent, super sharp, speaks such good English, reads so much, exceptionally good at almost everything, but always concerned about the fact that, oh, I have not done this well. Oh, I have not done this well. So she's on a reverse swing. And I keep telling her, Don't see yourself from your point of view, see yourself how others look at you. Others look at you as a person who's exceptionally intelligent, who knows, who's aware about it. And I think that gap is a tough gap to fill. So you got to look at it seriously and then never give up. Now, I have various examples, but let me tell you something which may relate to you. This is a very true statement. This is not gyan which I am giving you. When I started working in my first job, I used to sell desktop computers and in Delhi, and my office was in Ranjit Nagar, and my territory was Connaught Place. Now, how do you do cold calling? You don't have social media, you don't know the guys, you don't have mobile phones. So how do you do cold calling? You just pick up the catalogs of your product, pick up your lunchbox in a bag, and just go. And I used to go to Connaught Place, go to the topmost floor of the building, and start knocking at the doors. So assume a building of 20 floors with 5, 6 offices in each floor. You're talking about 100 knocks, and I would do those 100 knocks in a day, clear the building. Not that easy. You got to repeat the same thing. And at lunchtime, you know that the guys have closed down, nobody's going to meet you. So you come down, wash up, have lunch again, take the lift to the top floor, and take steps coming down. So if you go on the 20th floor, finish that floor, take the steps, come down, finish the 19th floor, take the steps, come down, finish the 18th floor. Now, by 4:30, you are blown, you are tired. Okay, you have done so much physical exercise, you've done so much verbal exercise. Now, that's when you have to take a call. Should you give up or should you make 2 more calls? And my reality, my last 5 calls would always give me some results. So the catch is you push yourself and do those 2 calls extra, 3 calls extra, and generate an opportunity, or you spend it making 80 calls and not do that. Never ever give up when you can avoid it. This is one of the examples. I can give you thousands of those where I've been through, where I thought something is next to impossible, but you be at it, be persistent, and you will find some results out of it. Humans like appreciation, recognition. We don't do that enough. We don't tell people that they've done a great job. We don't tell people that you like the way they work. You don't tell people if they have done something extraordinary. We only feel differently. Why can't we smile and say, fantastic job done? Well done. You've done a great job. Now tell me, if any of you a mail is sent to you by your bosses saying that you've done a fantastic job, what would your reaction be? You'll be feeling good. I am 56. Today, if somebody tells me I've done a good job, or if I hit a good shot in golf and somebody says fantastic, you feel proud of it, you feel good about it. But why don't we do it? And we don't do it. Eye contact. Please be aware next time when you're talking to somebody, look into his eyes. Don't look left, don't look right, don't look top. Now, if you are unsure, you will not be able to look into his eyes. If you are sure, you'll be able to look into his eyes. So eye contact is very positive tool to show your confidence levels to the customer or anybody else. Try working on this. It's a very good tool, shows positive. Don't assume anything. I have seen thousands of people who would tell them to do something. They say, oh, what happens if this happens? Now you have not even taken the first step and you are assuming. Why is that the assumption is only negative? Why is not the assumption positive? So take the first step, go ahead and take the first step and see something what happens. But assuming and not doing is actually a big no. Contrary to that, if you are doing something, be aware in your mind what could go wrong. I'm not saying be negative, be aware. If you're working on a project, if you're working on a sales proposal, if you're doing a customer visit, have you covered all the customers? It's possible that you met the bosses, but the person who actually takes a decision of one level below the boss, and he doesn't like because you ignored him. Now that's a red flag. You have told commercial prices to the technical team, commercial people does not like, that's a red flag. Look at the red flags to make sure that your story is complete and you move forward. Very important tool as you grow in your career, your focus should be to ensure that all the valid aspects of that particular projects are covered. Try and have a mentor. Mentor helps you to align. Normally, the mentors are people who are done well and or your previous bosses. But now there are mentors who are as young as 20 years, 25 years. Airtel CEO Gopal Vittal as a mentor who is just a fresher because he helps him to understand the digital world. Sunil Mittal, when I was in Airtel, Sunil Mittal had a mentor who was probably a 5 or 7 years experience in the industry because what he saw, Mittal could not see. Today, I would like to have a mentor who can tell me how effectively I can use the digital technology. Similarly, you need to have a mentor to help you, to direct you to move in a positive direction. And guys, don't be Google. This is my standard. Don't say you know everything. You are not expected to know everything. You are expected to learn everything. So it is not required to say every time that you know and try to justify. If you don't know, you don't know. Focus on nurturing your mind. Now, this is not a gyan, guys. This is not a spiritual gyan. My point here is that we spend so much time grooming ourselves, maintaining our physical appearances. How much time do we spend in feeding our mind the right kind of inputs? Do we meditate? Do we remain positive? Do we smile? What do you do to feed your mind? Most of us don't do anything. You assume that samosa and chutney will fill your stomach and your body will be fine, and a good t-shirt and a jeans and a nice shave or a good set of clothes will create a good focus. But it all goes together. So coming back to the point, I think I've almost more or less finished my presentation, just 2-3 slides more. Same thing. Choose what you want to be good at and pick that up and build on it further. Every line which I have presented to you in my presentation has very detailed analysis in terms of theories, and lots of books have been written, lots of YouTubes. You can just pick up that anything you want and get onto detailing. I mean, my whole thing is too detailed, but I'm just touching the points. Now basically coming back to from what all I have spent to you, explained to you, I just wanted to share on 2 slides, how do we manage our life and what have been my learning. You don't have a choice to choose your managers. You probably don't have a choice to choose your customers. You also don't have a choice to choose your siblings and parents. So how do you manage life with them? How do you build trust with them? How do you build credibility with them? Now, when you are joining an organization and when you're working in an organization, first thing what you need to do is to establish a rapport between you and your manager. Just think in your mind, when you meet a customer, what all do you do to please your customer? Sorry, thank you, sit down, blah blah, come for lunch, dinner, all sorts of things. You don't do all that to a manager. According to me, the trust and credibility is built by first being truthful to yourself and to your manager. Don't lie. Thousands of examples. Manager asks, why have you come late? Traffic jam, sir. Now, manager also come 15 minutes before you. He has not found the traffic jam. How you found it? But he will not say anything. In his mind, he's registered one negative point. Next time you come late, he'll say, what happened? Oh, sir, something else happened. Now, he knows that you will keep coming. You will keep coming. We have somebody we know who keeps promising to us and doesn't deliver. Now, when he promises, it doesn't register in my mind because I know that he doesn't deliver. He just promises. So first thing is speak truth. And the basic line is, if you speak truth, you will never have to remember it. Never, ever. If your car is punctured today, genuinely, and you are late, you will remember 6 months later or 1 month later that your car was punctured and that's how you got late. But if you cook a bahana and tell the manager or somebody else, you'll have to remember it in your mind that you have told this lie to the customer or a manager or somebody else. So always speak truth because you don't have to remember. Another way of building credibility is, if you don't know anything, say you don't know and you will come back. Now, what happens is, let's say you're talking to your customer or your manager, they ask you a question you don't know. You're always trying to impress them. So you try to give answers which may not be the best answers. Say you don't know, let me get back to you. A day later, you physically meet them or you write a mail and get back to them. What are you doing? You're doing 2 things. You are setting up your credibility of going back to them and completing your task. And second, you're also getting an opportunity to meet them again or get in touch with them again. So the guy knows, yeah, day before yesterday, Mr. X has told me to come back. Oh, he's come back. Fantastic. He may not acknowledge, but he's registered that this guy will come back. Again, thousands of examples I have, but I'll just stick to it in this. Also try and understand when you meet somebody new, whether the person is people oriented or task oriented. It's very important to understand your manager and customer's mindset. If your manager is task oriented, don't start your conversation, oh sir, how's your family? My family is good, and yesterday my wife did. He's least interested in what your wife did. Or whether you went shopping or whether you ate somewhere else, he's interested in task because his mind says, you are standing in front of me. What task have you achieved? But a people-oriented person, you can spend first few seconds, first few minutes talking about the weather, clothes, dress, movie, blah, blah. He will connect. And his next task will be in relation to that. So you got to understand they are what kind of managers or customers they are. Some of my customers don't want me to sit in front of them, just say the task and walk off. Some of them don't discuss the task. They will ask for tea. They will discuss blah, 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 what's happening in the industry, tell us what's happening outside, and like to collect information. So you got to identify that. They will not identify. Guys, start reading if you don't. And I'm saying it because I don't at the moment. This OTT is taking our head off. And your generation probably does not realize, but my generation has seen both the sides. We have seen the sides when we have read books, physical books, we have turned pages, and we are seeing reels on Instagram and on YouTube. Sheer wastage of time. And let me tell you, I enjoy watching reels. It's not that I don't. One day I was on Instagram, full mobile battery to zero mobile battery, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, I watched reels. I was completely engrossed on it. After 2 hours, I said, shit, what have I done to myself? In 2 hours, neither I have learned anything, nor I have gained anything. I have just drained the mobile battery. Absolute waste of time. But what reading does, it improves concentration. Today, if I write a long mail to you, you will read first 2 or 3 paragraphs. After that, you will lose concentration. You will not read. And that's why today, OK has become K, laughing out loud has become LOL. Everything is becoming concise. So who will have the concentration to read your mails? So either you make your mails very concise or start reading more. Reading also gives you a lot of depth. Reading articles versus reading books, it gives you a lot of depth. So you've got to look at it and do that. There are 3 things you need to invest in: personal finance, physical and mental health, and relationships and networking. If you are able to do it well, you are absolute success in your life. The power of compounding, very important tool, guys. If you are earning 30,000 rupees a month today, put 4,000, 5,000, 2,000 in saving and in the right investment, you will see later. The challenge is you can't reverse the cycle. After 50 years, even if you invest 1 lakh a month, it will not give you those kind of returns. So this is something which is time bound. Start now. Whatever you can, doesn't matter. There are apps today where you can even save 5 rupees, 8 rupees per day if you have it in your pocket. But personal finance and relationships and your health is 3 things which you will carry with you all the time till you die. This is non-negotiable. You got to do it. Find ways of doing it. Read, find out what is important for you. But this is absolutely important. Always look at the means of achieving it. Don't look at the end. This is one of the common things I have found, that people like to go from ground floor to first floor without climbing a step. Now, till you take the first step, how will you go near to the first floor? So my philosophy when I was being CEOs of the company, I have always conveyed to my team what our long-term vision is. But let me tell you, people don't understand long-term vision. So the next step is, how will we achieve this long-term vision? By dividing into small goals. Okay, this quarter, let's achieve this. Next quarter, let's achieve that. Next quarter, let's have this. By the time the new product will be ready, and by the end of the year, we'll achieve what we need to achieve. So take the right first steps. Don't assume that the end result is not achievable. It's possible. Your strengths and areas of improvements, during the interviews when I conduct, A lot of people, a lot of candidates don't understand their own strengths. They do not have any idea what their areas of improvements are. Now, you got to identify, do this exercise yourself, or I don't know whether the school does it for you. You need to know what you are, who you are, what are you made up, and build on that. Very important. Do this yourself and see how you can. Again, Steve Jobs' strength was product quality. Everybody knows it. He was not a management guru, or he was not a suave CEO. He became the boss because his only strength was huge amount of product quality. So you guys have to work on it and find out what you are good at. Every time you go for an interview, you must know these answers. Learn from successful people. Look at Narayan Murthy. He's there everywhere. Is he free? No. He's still managing Infosys indirectly. He's got a investment fund called Catamaran. When I was in Bangalore, people could not reach Infosys on time. So he got involved with the government and they built a flyover together. He's available on conferences, seminar, any dinners. How is that? He also has only 24 hours. And we sleep for 3 hours, watch Netflix for 3 hours, do Instagram for 2 hours. Our day is over. So it's possible to be everywhere. It's possible to be there, but you got to see and understand. You got to see and understand what is the life of the successful people. How are they doing it differently? Quickly, I'll give you an example. I'd gone to Vodafone Idea in Bombay to meet somebody, and I was in my swanky new Innova with the driver wearing a cap. And I came back after making the call, and I was waiting for my car, and suddenly I see Narayan Murthy and Azim Premji standing next to me, waiting for their car. So obviously, I took a step back. There was too much awe of Narayan Murthy and Azim Premji, so I took a step back. And one small Desire came. Both of them sat in the Desire and went. I felt ashamed sitting on my big air conditioned. Look at the simplicity. Those guys can afford 5 Mercedes to pick them up, but just one Desire, and both of them sat at the back, and the driver drove them, no third person. So I think there's a lot to learn from these guys, how they manage with their life, what are their presence in life. If you listen to the talk by Sudha Murthy, she talks about how Narayan Murthy works at home, what is his present at home, and it's amazing how both husband and wife have built such a huge empire. And of course, the last point is, guys, always think big, because if it's not in your thoughts, it's never anywhere. You got to think big. Don't worry about anything else, but think big. Think big doesn't mean that you want to marry Diana Spencer, or think big doesn't mean that you want to become the president of India. But think big within your own universe of what is possible to achieve. Because if it's not in your thoughts, you will never do that. You will never take action towards it. And this is proven time and again by many successful people, educated, uneducated, hardworking, everything. So you guys have to focus on that. So anytime if you feel to do a self-check on yourself, where do you stand? And this is purely a slide for you. See, in the industry you are present, are you knowledgeable enough? So if you're in an IT industry, do you know what are the latest softwares happening? What are the latest security things happening? Or if you're in a steel industry, what are the new innovations in this steel? Are you knowledgeable enough? And you will know the answer. Don't have to ask anybody. You will know the answer. Are you relevant enough? Do people come and talk to you and say, okay, yeah, this guy knows it. Can I ask him? Can I find out? Are you changing with the time and technologies? Other people find you relevant? And are you engaged enough? Your company might be doing wonders, but if you are not engaged, then you are left behind. So this self-check, KRE check helps. I do that very often, helps me to understand and realize where am I in my journey and what is it that I am missing out. If you go back to my first slide, you will find that I said that I want to read more, I want to meditate more. It's only because I keep doing these checks. Two things I do, and I do it deliberately. One is when somebody says his name, I write his name on his forehead, not with pen or pencil, but in my mind, I look at his forehead and write his name there. So next time when I am looking at him, it gives me a reminder. The second thing which I do is I repeat his name. If you look at the waiters in the restaurant, why do they repeat the menu? They only repeat the menu for two reasons. One is to remember whether they've heard you correctly. Second is to close the loop that this is what you ordered. Similarly, here you'll have to either write it on their forehead or repeat it a couple of times to remember. But this is a problem I also face. See your journey, keep identifying people. Somebody will click. Normally, the best mentor is your boss. He knows you very well, and he has worked with you. He understands your strengths. Till then, I guess look at some senior friends and look at some people who can help you. But you will find a mentor, but you must do that. So in every company, there are top 300, top 400 large customers, and then you have the middle customers, and then you have the SME customers. So if you want to sell the large deals, you have to sell to large customers. So in your company, are you positioned in those sectors to sell to large customers? So the ways of doing it is, first you need to identify, does what you are doing, can that be increased? I don't know whether what you're doing, are you the only vendor or are there competition also? Is there a way you can reduce the competition slice and do yours? That's one. Second point you can look at is, can you do any cross sell? Is there across Airtel or its division, can the GI work be done for any other division? I don't know whether you can do the same thing for DTH, or you can do it for the tower business, or you can do it for fixed line business. If you can do that, expand your reach within the customers. You already have a reference, and if you're doing a good job, you will get a positive response. And what happens is, as the business increases, your support increases over a period of time. So your overall business becomes reasonably high. So 3 ways. Can you increase your current pie? So if you have a competition, take some business out of the competition. How can you do that? Second way of doing it is go to across divisions of Airtel because you're already present. And third way is to do is, of course, can you mine a little bit more support revenue? People invest to somebody else only for two reasons. One is they don't have the time and knowledge. And second, that they trust. There are thousands of companies who are managing money these days, but let's say I invested one company for the last 15 years only because I have blind faith in them. They will, in my dreams, they will not mess up with my money. And I think trust is the key factor. If you look at large multinational banks, they have these HNI divisions where money is taken and saved. Malya's personal wealth was managed by one single guy. Entire, of course, maybe not the right example, but since I knew about it. So I think you got to first build a lot of trust between you and your potential client. Start small and then start growing. That's the only way to do that. Otherwise, they will not park their money. Of course, you can give them. See, today, nobody in the investment gives you a commitment, right? You're only saying 6%, 8%, 10%. You are also saying that, some others are also saying that. So what's the differentiation? Customer references, past customer references who've done well, your trustworthiness, your capability to increase the money are the three things. I always believed, and I was wrong, I always believed that you continue to do your job well and somebody will notice you. Always believed, and I always put my head down and work very hard. But I didn't get the benefit. I didn't get the results. And later I asked somebody the same question, and the response was this, and the same question, and the response was that there is politics in the organization, and you don't need to be part of politics, but be politically skilled to make yourself visible. Don't let people take your credit. Don't highlight what you have done. You don't need to have doing politics and saying wrong things about others. Let others say so. It will all get highlighted in there. But make sure that you get credit for what you have done and highlight the results you've done. At the end of it, we are in sales. You've got to highlight what you do well.